Hi, I'm Ricky Ribeiro, and this is Rooted in Rising. Did you know that there are no Black-owned, Black-led, Black-focused media outlets or reporters in Montgomery County? That means our perspectives, questions, and priorities never enter the rooms where our leaders meet the press. That means that narratives about Black people in Montgomery County, from our students to our elders, are created by other people and not us. But we're here to disrupt that pattern. That's why we're excited to launch BCEE Media. This show, Rooted in Rising, is the first manifestation toward better representation for us, by us.
Welcome to the inaugural episode of Rooted and Rising, and happy Juneteenth 2026. Each episode will begin with a call to clarity that grounds us in what is right now relevant and true for Black people, and by extension for all people in Montgomery County, Maryland. I am Valarie Eiland Davis, convener of the Black Coalition for Excellence in Education. Let's be clear. Freedom is not won in a moment. It requires forever movements. The first call to clarity is to accept the fact that we as people living the Black experience in Montgomery County, Maryland, and everyone living in the United States of America are not free. And opportunities for freedom are being stolen from us every moment of every day, right here in the land of the free and the home of the brave. On June 19, 1865, when Union troops arrived in Galveston Bay, Texas, to announce that the more than 250,000 enslaved African people in the state were free by executive decree, they arrived nearly 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. They had no idea that they were supposed to be free. 74 years later, on June 19, 1939, when the family of 12-year-old Opal Lee, the future grandmother of Juneteenth, and others were celebrating Juneteenth privately, a mob burned down their house during their celebrations. Black people still were not free. 151 years after that first Juneteenth in Texas, in 2016, at the age of 89, Mrs. Opal Lee started her campaign to recognize Juneteenth as a national holiday. It took 5 years of unyielding work and advocacy to make it happen. One of the mistakes we make when we momentarily memorialize and romanticize history with holiday celebrations such as Juneteenth or Independence Day is that we flatten the struggle or oppression into a moment that we have overcome and move on. Let's be clear. We are in an unprecedented time in which the rights and freedoms Black people had just 2 years ago are under assault or have been destroyed altogether. We are not free. How then do we hold space to celebrate the demands our ancestors and predecessors fought and died to secure, while also recognizing that the fight is nowhere near over? The second call to clarity is for everyone under the sound of my voice, but especially every Black person in Montgomery County, to fully and radically accept that you have been drafted into a freedom army that remains on the battlefield for life. It's time to gear up at a new level of intensity and fight. Freedoms and liberation are not won in moments, especially not for Black people whose containment and oppression are literally necessary bedrock for every system and institution throughout the United States and in Montgomery County, Maryland. Our freedoms and liberation have been and will always be won through perpetual, powerful, unapologetic movements that are led by, rely on, and center us. Let Juneteenth be a reminder for you that we come from African ancestors who survived, thrived, and walked as kings and queens, princes and princesses in a land that denied their humanity and still does. Freedom cost them dearly, and it will not be won back cheaply or conveniently by us right here in Montgomery County. You are needed right now. Know that you are fighting a battle, whether you realize it or not, actively doing your part to demand Black liberation or aiding our oppressors by silence, compromise, or futile efforts at reform that kill Black people softly and loudly, day by day, right where you live. And here's one last call to clarity. When Black people rise, everyone rises. That's a fact. In today's Rooted and Rising episode, we highlight how Black liberation is being celebrated and strengthened and how you can join the fight.
Welcome to Pass the Mic. This is a segment where we center community voices. My name's Cesar. This is Malik. We're two recent graduates of John F. Kennedy High School. We're rising sophomores at the University of Pittsburgh and North Carolina Agricultural and Technical School. Today we want to talk about an important issue affecting Black youth in Montgomery County, Maryland, and that would be violence. To open up the topic, I'm going to be reading an excerpt from an essay I wrote earlier this year. It's called When Tragedy Becomes Routine. A ringing sound shattered the still silence in the room. Opening my eyes, I turned to my bedside table and I picked up my phone. I answered the phone to a multitude of missed calls from friends, teammates, and family members. In that same second, I received a call from my aunt. I answered the phone and sluggishly put it up to my ear. Over the next 10 minutes, my aunt explained to me that one of my football teammates had passed away due to gun violence. At this moment, many would be moved to tears, disbelief, or even refuse to believe the message, thinking it was a joke. Me, I hung up the phone and returned to my nap. This is the fourth year in a row that a friend or acquaintance of mine at my school had passed away due to unnatural circumstances surrounding violence.
Wow, man. I mean, I remember hearing that and just getting the calls and the texts as well. It was just crazy because, one moment we're on the field with them and the next we're sitting in a room and coaches are crying and family members are crying as well. So it's just a crazy experience. Let's get into these questions we have. So my first question to you is, what is one way you wish you were able to feel safer as an NCPS high school student?
Definitely, I wish there was a better way to check for weapons in the school. I feel like even if it wasn't reported, a lot of knives, guns in some cases, just weapons, pepper spray and stuff are just always going in and out of the school with no adults really understanding that. And I understand the security teams did the best they could, but it felt like more could be done.
So do you think in terms of safety-wise, maybe combining with what PG County has? So clear backpacks and not so much school uniforms itself, but something along that lines. I mean, I don't want to put metal detectors in schools, but it feels like at this point, there's no clear way to withhold it because people are still doing it.
No, definitely. It's of course, I think we shouldn't have those in school, but the way it's gotten to, it seems to be more of a necessity rather than an option at this point. I think moving to clear bags wouldn't be a crazy move in this day and age with the amount of violence we're seeing within our community. Malik, what's one way you wish we were able to feel safer in MCPS?
I think one way we would be able to feel safer in MCPS is definitely having more of a connection with, the people who administrate our school. Because you only feel safe around the people who you've actually spoken to, who actually, take the time to get to know you. So you can trust those people. And that's why they call them trusted adults. That's why, there's a lot of kids sitting in different classrooms and lunch times and stuff like that. They trust those people. So if those people, took the same time to introduce themselves, talk to you during the day and stuff like that, you would feel safer. You would feel more protected. Or you see them doing their jobs more as well.
I definitely agree with you on that point, because I also think administrators taking a more active role in students' lives also steered a lot of our peers away from resorting to violence and thinking that was a solution to their problems.
Yeah, I definitely, one example I can give you of that is Ms. Chappelle. We had her. She definitely was one of those more administrators that took the stand to actually talk to the kids, to actually get to know these children. She stopped a lot of kids from doing a lot of bad things, and even in the sense of simple things in school, like not getting into fights or, not going after school to go do more stuff. Instead, talking to them, saying, the root of this issue isn't just you fighting, it's something going on past that. And she's looked at that, and a lot of people don't want to look at that. They just want to, simply give you the punishment, and that's all, but that doesn't stop the problem.
Okay, so next question, Malik. How has your exposure to violence in high school shaped your worldview and even your college experience as of now?
I would say definitely it's helped me have a more broad view of it. I feel like I also think it definitely helps me have an understanding of these people, right? Because being friends with and around those people who, have taken violent acts or who do resort to violence, you see the issues that they deal with outside of school, right? You see the reasons why they get so quick to anger and why they're so quick to, want to have these negative emotions come out as that. But it's not so much that they want to fight, but that's the only way they feel they can get it out. So it's definitely a lot of things go on with that, and also resources as well. You know, they like to talk about a lot of the times that there are these resources that we can go to these counselors or go to these different people to help us. But at the end of the day, telling information to these people really doesn't do anything, but maybe contacting parents or, you know, contacting someone else to get them help, but they don't follow up with that. They don't check on you every day. They don't check on you certain days. Some kids, you know, even checking on them for a week to 2 weeks straight and having conferences with them maybe once a week truly does help some kids, but they don't want to look into that.
No, you're right. I definitely believe the school system kind of has a passive role in trying to prevent these violent events and issues within youth, but I think we really, especially in this day and age, need to shift to a more active role to really see change within our community. And honestly, I guess addressing the question myself, shaping our worldview, I think I touched on it a little bit in my essay, but it's gotten to a point where the violence feels normalized, and I think we really need to start calling it out for what it is. It's not normal. Violence should never be an answer, and we really need to start pushing that this is not the route students and Black youth in the area should be headed towards.
I definitely agree, and I also think it comes down to the way and perspectives that people put out as well. Because, you know, if you're a younger child and what you see influences you online, what you see and what you see around you influences you as well. So, you know, putting positive influences or even, you know, positive words on different matters helps a lot. You put certain words on certain school systems or certain parts of the county, that affects what happens to those children. So I definitely feel like doing those things and, you know, having those negative words come out like this is a bad school or those kids you can't help those kids, they don't want to be helped. No, they don't want you to come up to them and consistently punish them when maybe them getting in trouble is a cry out for help because they can't go home. Or you see these kids at your school until 7, 8 o'clock at night, but it's because their home life isn't as good as they would like it to be. And that's not on them, but I mean, as a teacher or an administrator, your job is to, you know, help and facilitate and do all these different things, but take it into your own way. Like coaches definitely have a good impact. I have another question for you. What do you think would be a way that government, schools, or community leaders could invest to not only reduce but also prevent gun violence and crime in youth as well?
That's a great question. So a big thing, I think, is of course role models. A lot of kids, especially in the kids with more issues such as Kennedy, we lack role models that look like us and show us where we should go. And I think the county should really work towards giving more programs that give kids something to look forward to. I know a big program in the county that's been really successful for some of my friends at Kennedy that I knew have gone on to be successful was the Edison program. Being able to go there and explore different career paths for them was fundamental, and I think pushing more of that in the school system, especially for Black youth, Black and brown youth in our area, would be a big thing to create change.
I definitely agree. Just to go back to the role models part, I definitely agree with the role models piece, especially looking like us, because, you know, at our time we had art teachers, coaches, and everything like that in the building, which even administrators, which we were able to, you know, constantly go speak to them, and it was kind of like they were our, you know, parents inside the building and stuff like that, which was great for us. But now, you know, visiting back and stuff like that, those people don't teach there anymore, and that comes down to also the county as well, because the county treats certain employees and certain teachers and all that nature differently, which is a sad thing to see and say, but it's the truth. So also, I definitely agree with role models, but I would also say not only programs, but sports in general is a good outlet, but it's not used correctly for some people. Some people aren't as good at the sport, or, you know, may not have the grades for the sport. But I mean, we've watched certain kids, you know, who didn't have grades for the sport are now committing to go to school just because they stayed the course and they kept working out and stuff like that. Like, all it takes is a coach to consistently, you know, checking on somebody or anything like that, and that definitely really does truly help people.
Thank you for the conversation, Malik. It was a very productive conversation. We talked about a lot and explored a lot of the issues affecting our community.
I appreciate you for having me here, and it's definitely a lot of issues that are going on and need to be talked about, and it's, you know, the exigence of it all is that it's happening and we're just looking past it.
Well, fam, this is the part of Rooting and Rising where we tell you what had happened. This is the part where we give you news you can use from a Black perspective that should inform how you move in Montgomery County for liberation, whether you're Black or not. I want to talk to you about three things that happened in this run-up to our primary election season in 2026. Three so-called opportunities for people from the community to be in spaces that center the issues, the questions, the data, the aspirations, and the demands of Black people. The first one is an event that was hosted for county executive candidates, and it was hosted by a Black Democratic club. The second one is a county council candidate forum that was hosted at a historically Black church by legacy, traditional, well-known, well-established Black organizations. And then the third one was a podcast that I recently invested time I'd like to get back watching called Black Coffee. And in all of these instances, failure was my takeaway. Failure to center, to direct, to understand, to address the needs of Black people. So let me go through them individually. The first one involved Black people coming into a room. Again, Black Democrats organized this forum, county executive, where candidates were asked questions, and there was one point where one current elected official who was running for county executive threw some crazy and unnecessary shade at the only Black male elected in Montgomery County. You know who that is, or I hope that you do. And there were two Black women in the audience, and I'm one of them, who literally jumped up and said, "Not so, low blow." Think about that. In a room where Black people invited folks to talk about Black things and control the environment, nobody came to that man's defense. I'm not an apologist for him. But when you come to our spaces, and when we invite people to our spaces, if we don't center ourselves, who will? Not just in what is said, but how it's said. The second thing was, at this county council forum, at a historically Black church, hosted by historically Black organizations, nobody talked about Black issues in their introduction. So on two sides, all of the council candidates, including Black candidates, did not mention Black and center Black people. And on the other hand, the hosts, who I wrote a note to, walked up to the moderator and said, "We are talking about Black people, right? Can we correct that?" Took well into the program, well into Q&A before they started to ask questions. Again, we don't center ourselves, who will? And then I made myself watch this podcast, which was designed by our African American liaison with the support of the African American advisory group that the county executive puts together. It was designed to focus on Black people and ask questions from Black perspectives, and it ended up being a pitch piece for a candidate, our current county executive, Mark Elridge. Yeah, there's some historical stuff that's valuable, go watch it. Yes, there's some interesting stuff about things that he's learned, but in this election season, it is borderline unethical to offer an opportunity for a guy to sell himself in a spot that's supposed to be about Black people when those questions with data and expectations and demands are not centered and clear. And so, let me just leave you with this. Two things. Black faces in high spaces will not save us. And the second thing is, those who don't have Black faces, who can stand to be in rooms with us and have one or two Black friends, they will not save us either. We have to save ourselves. And that's what happened.
On April 29th, there was a shooting at Blake High School after a fight in the parking lot resulted in a gun accidentally going off and falling to the ground. Both the 19-year-old who was visiting a friend on campus and the 17-year-old Blake student who brought the weapon to school are facing criminal charges related to the incident. On May 13th, another gun-related incident happened at Walt Whitman High School after a fight at Westfield Montgomery during the lunch period led to a student reportedly bringing a gun to campus. Whitman has an open lunch policy for upperclassmen. Later that same day, a Board of Education Policy Committee meeting was held to address the system's open lunch policy. The open lunch policy was not on the original work plan for the policy committee this year, and it was added suddenly, much to the surprise of at least board member Julie Yang, who questioned why the sudden need to rescind the policy. Policy Committee Chair Brenda Wolf would only vaguely reference concerns about liability and safety, but didn't specifically mention the gun violence incidents at Blake or Whitman, even though that was clearly the context for the suddenly urgent need to rescind the policy. How do we know this? Because in the community letter signed by Principal Ahmed Adelakan and Superintendent Taylor, the first change being implemented at Blake post-incident had to do with tightening up the lunch policy. Here's the language directly from the letter. Quote, "We will no longer be permitting students to eat lunch outside of the building for the remainder of the school year. This will support enhanced student supervision and ensure that no unauthorized visitors have the opportunity to access our students," end quote. Despite significant protests from Julie Yang, who did not agree with the accelerated decision, given the lack of data, specificity, and community engagement, Policy Committee Chair Brenda Wolf and the other committee members who voted to approve taking the decision to rescind the board's open lunch policy to the full board. This was under the argument that the board shouldn't have a policy regulating open lunch in the first place, since that's an operational decision that the superintendent should own. Unfortunately, things didn't go any better at the full board meeting, as several board members joined in questioning why the decision was defaulting to a rescission on an accelerated timeline and with no data on serious incidents or absenteeism correlating to the policy. Board member Montoya pointed out that the policy was outdated and worth revising, but not necessarily yet rescinding. Her recommendation to revise the policy, however, met pushback from Wolf, who said that if they weren't interested in voting to rescind the policy, then she didn't see a reason why they should revise the policy either. Montoya pointed out revision and rescission are two very different things, but Brenda didn't budge, and ultimately, there was a stalemate with the board failing to have enough votes to rescind the policy or revise the policy, which means the entire rushed process was a waste of taxpayer resources and the Board of Education's time. Adding insult to injury, on May 21st at the board's business meeting, the after-action report for the April shooting incident at Blake received no public discussion. This was in direct contrast to what the board did for Wootton, which also had a school shooting on campus in March this school year. Board member Montoya acknowledged the disparity and apologized to the community for the disparate treatment.
I would like to make just a quick comment on the Blake After Action Report. I didn't realize that that would not be presented at the table to the board unless it was requested. So I just want to apologize to the community because I did not know that.
If you're wondering why Blake didn't get the same treatment that Wootton did, even though both high schools suffered from emotional and psychological harm from gun violence, let me put it to you bluntly. It's because Blake is a much blacker high school than Wootton. According to the 2025 Maryland Report Card data, Blake High School is 39% black, while Wootton is 13% black. When something horrific happens at Wootton, the world stops, and you see every public official at the county and school system level bend over backward to acknowledge and apologize. But when it happens at Blake, everyone moves on like nothing happened, because they don't think black children deserve any better. The incidents related to the burying of the after-action report and the attempt to not acknowledge the harm at Blake as the underlying reason for the open lunch policy rescission are further proof of the normalization of violence in Montgomery County Public Schools that are majority black versus schools that aren't. So what should we do? I urge black parents to reach out to MCPS and the Board of Education to let them know it's not okay to normalize and overlook gun violence at schools with significant black student populations, and to do right by Blake High School.
Peace and Power community. My name is Melanie Dunstan, and I am a project manager for BCEE's Literacy Committee. And this year we celebrated our second year with the Gaithersburg Book Festival at the Boyer Park next to Gaithersburg High School, where we were able to meet some wonderful authors there. Sadly to say, there were only 17 out of 100 black authors in attendance. And in order for us to elevate the representation of the black community, we need more black authors in these type of spaces. So it'd be helpful if we could all support each other and find these local authors and get them out to the community. We did have some wonderful visitors, the black authors, come to our booth. One, Charlene Thomas, and another one of her friend authors who are actually Gaithersburg High School alumni. She authored It's You Every Time, and another black author, Tracy Baptiste of Boy 2.0 and so many other black children's books. She also came to visit us this year again for the second time as well. And she also graced us with signing some of the books that we had on display and for our book bundles that are for our Literacy Black Book Project. And also, Tracy Baptiste is one of the founding members of the Brown Bookshelf, which is designed to help project and support the Black writers and Black authors all over the world. And we would like for you to join BCE and support BCE so that we can all help each other in this literacy crisis.
This segment of our show is one of my favorites. This is the Black Joy highlight section. You all know that Black joy is essential to life, not just Black folks' life, but everybody's life. So I want to talk about two things. One is we did a thing. We declared the week of Mother's Day International Black Mothers Week, because Black mothers deserve more than one day. We celebrated it. We even hosted at our monthly Sunday dinners that BCE has mothers, and we asked them to come and just have dinner on us. No agenda, no problems, don't have to dress a certain way, just come and have dinner at a Black-owned restaurant. So Black joy for us means celebrating who we are, relaxing, not trying to solve any problems, but lifting up what keeps us going. So if you didn't get a chance to celebrate International Black Mothers Week in 2026, it's coming in 2027. And if you want to join us for Sunday dinners, monthly, they're on the third Sundays of every month, and you can suggest a Black-owned restaurant that we should help stay alive. We like to close Rooted in Rising with prayer. We do that because at the Black Coalition for Excellence in Education, everything that we do is rooted in faith. We started from nothing a little over 3 years ago, but a determination to make sure that all Black children had what they need to succeed in schools. And we're still working to make that happen. So this is a faith walk for us. So I want to leave you with healing, hope, and wisdom, starting with the class of 2026. You see before you a little artifact. This is my daughter's graduation cap. She was class of 2024 at Springbrook High School. She's now a college student, finished her finals, and is now a sophomore. But I bring this to you because had it not been for the efforts of BCEE, now 3 graduating classes ago, your students, your children, you would not be able to decorate your graduation caps. The school system actually was afraid of political statements as a result of letting children do this, and we fought all the way to the Board of Education. Shout out to former board member Rebecca Smondrowski, who fell on her sword to make this happen for you. So we leave you with all the hopes, the dreams, and know that we at BCEE are here for all of you. So I pray that you have everything you want in life. I pray that you know that you already have it. It just has to be revealed. I pray that the doors that you walk through are the ones you should, and the ones that are closed stay firmly shut in front of you. I pray for families, for parents, for grandparents, for families by choice, that you will stay the course, that you will believe in the future, and that you will know that you're not alone. And finally, I pray that you have joy in the journey. It's not meant to be a grind. My daughter says sometimes when she's working, Mommy, I'm just trying to grind it out. Grind out the assignment, but don't grind out life. And if you want a place where you know you are seen and heard and believed, you have that here with the Black Coalition for Excellence in Education.
Stuck in my head is our song. Been listening to it on repeat. Go play whatever you want. I can dance to anything, don't matter at all. How about some Michael Jackson? You know it's gonna hit. I wanna rock with you all night long. Yeah, you know it. Hey, I'm about to kill it.